وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم في كل لمحة ونفس عدد ما وسعه علم الله. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا ولوالدينا ولمشايخنا ولمعلمنا ولمن له حق علينا ولمن أحب وأحسن إلينا لكافة المسلمين أجمعين. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما. Ya Allah, make this meeting a meeting full of blessing and makes the farewell a safe farewell. Ya Allah, our God, make this meeting as useful science assembly, as a medium of sharing useful ideas, knowledge and experience of scholars, researchers, businessmen, government official, and students of various disciplines. May this international conference we organize today benefit to our life, broaden our knowledge, shine our ideas, and lead us to be successful, productive person, which in turn will boost dignity of our nation. Allahumma inna nas'aluka min khairi zakat al-istinaiyah wal-ibtikari rakmiyah ajil wa ajil ma alimna minhu wa ma lam na'lam wa na'udhu bika min syarri kullihi ajil wa ajil ma alimna minhu wa ma lam na'lam. Ya Allah, we ask for you all the goodness for artificial intelligence and digital innovation now and in the future, but what we know and what we don't know, and we seek refuge in you for all its evils now in the future. وَبِدِرَاسَتِهِمَا أَن يَجْعَلَنَا أَقْرَبَ إِلَى اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. And by studying it, we become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ وَأَدْخِلْنَا الْجَنَّةَ مَعَ الْأَبْرَارِ يَا عَزِيزُ يَا غَفَّارُ يَا رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Thank you very much. Allahul muwafiq ila qawmit tariq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Fadlan, for leading us in the morning prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, now we will be singing the national anthem of the Republic of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya. Ladies and gentlemen, please be standing up. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, to celebrate this special occasion, we prepared a traditional dance performance that beautifully reflects the spirit of Indonesian culture. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome UKM Seni Tari Universitas Hasanuddin. That was a truly wonderful dance performance that totally captivated us this morning. Thank you very much again to all the wonderful dancers from UKM Seni Tari Universitas Hasanuddin. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall proceed to our next agenda, the conference report of the 4th ICSD 2025. The report will be delivered by the Secretary of Research and Community Service Institution of Hasanuddin University. We invite Professor Insinyur Suharman Hamzah PhD to deliver the report in the podium.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable Vice Rector for Academic and Student Affairs, Professor Dr. Gigi Muhammad Ruslin, Honorable the Head of Research Center for Community Service, Universitas Hasanuddin University, Professor Muhammad Nasrum, all invited speakers. For the first, Professor Masamitsu Onishi from Kyoto University. He is my laboratory mate when I studying in Kyoto University. I just running my PhD and he already asked the assistant professor. Welcome to Makassar. Welcome to Makassar, Sensei. And also the second of our repeated speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Sul Ilham bin Zulkifli Lubis. He also my close friend in Kyoto University. He's coming from the University of Malaya. He sometimes we battle in sport between Indonesia and Malaysia in Kyoto, playing soccer and badminton. Yeah, Pak Ilham. Actually, we are all three coming from the Kyoto University alumni, and I will congratulate to the Professor Onishi on behalf of Kyoto University because this year's two of alumni from Kyoto University take a Nobel Prize this year, coming from the chemistry and also physics. So two prominent alumni from the Kyoto University win the Nobel Prize this year. And also our invited speaker will be joined by Zoom meeting because the time is quite difficult to come to Makassar. Mr. Otto Kullervo Metinen from University of Helsinki in Finland, and also Mr. Tin Krebens from the Slovenian Professor Institute, also University of Ljubljana, and then Dr. Pablo from the French University of Amsterdam. This university is also Pak Wersatus coming there, alumni from the French University in Amsterdam. Also all the board of trustee, all the dean, also head of the research center, and all the delegates and participants of the four International Conference on Environmental and Sustainable Development. Good morning, selamat pagi, and ohayo gozaimasu. I said to say ohayo gozaimasu because some of my friends coming also from the Japanese. On behalf of the committee, it is my pleasure and privilege to welcome you all today. I am thrilled to see so many familiar faces and equally excited to see the new ones joining us for the first time. Today, we have the hosting a very special meeting. I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude for choosing to be with us today. Your presence here is not just a source of knowledge, but also a tremendous motivation for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's our ICES, we call it ICES, carries the theme of the artificial intelligence and digital innovation for sustainable development. This theme reflects our shared responsibility to confront the urgent global challenge of climate change, resource degradation, and also environmental inequality through scientific collaboration and innovation. So these themes embodies our shared commitment to addressing one of the most pressing imperatives of our time, how emerging technologies can be harnessed to create a more equitable, resilient, and also sustainable world. Artificial intelligence confine the realm of the high technology to become powerful tools that save the way we manage our environment and also design sustainable system for the future generation. So the ICESD will serve as a bridge between scientific inquiry and real-world application, emphasizing that innovation must not only advance efficiency and productivity, but also protect the planet and empower communities. The discussion, presentation, and also the collaboration through this conference expected to generate transformative insight that will help us to save sustainable solution and also inspire collective action toward a greener and also smarter future. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to announce that this year, the fourth ICES has attracted 171 researchers, 210 academics participants, and also from more than 5 countries. The paper presented span a wide range of topics: renewable energy, environmental policy, climate resilience, and also sustainable development technologies. We believe that discussion will inspire actionable strategies and also collaborative research for a greener and more sustainable future. And also, Bapak Ibu sekalian, this year we start with the thematic research group Expo. Actually, thematic research group is coming originally from our rector to more emphasize in the research area in collaborating with some countries in the world. So this year we start with the first TRJ Expo, and now we report to you all that we already have more than 250 thematic research groups already built in UNHAS, and also they already make our commitment to get more visible name of our university during our participation in the KS and also TEM Higher Education ranking in the world. So thank you very much for coming to our conference for today. And also, actually, we have 3 days. One day, in Thursday, we will do the national seminar. Also, we also invite all of you to coming to our office in Institute for Research and Community Service. I would like to invite Prof. Ruslin to opening the conference on behalf of the Rector. And then, again, thank you for all your support, especially our organizing committee to prepare all this conference to be do today. That's all. Thank you very much. Again, welcome to Universitas Hasanuddin. Welcome to Makassar for my close friend Prof. Masamit Suwonisi and also Dr. Sul Ilham. Enjoy Makassar and also enjoy the food of Makassar, actually. That's all. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Suharman, for your report and for your remarkable work in leading the organizing team. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's hear together the opening remarks by the Head of Research and Community Service of Hasanuddin University. Please welcome Professor Nasrum Masih.
Thank you very much, the Secretary, for the report. I'm very happy to have a Secretary who's very active. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi dan salam sejahtera, distinguished guests, Vice Rector, Professor Ruslin, Vice Chairman of the Board Trustee, Prof. Arsyad Taha, Dean, and all chair of the research center. And honorable keynote speaker, I'm very happy to meet our guest from Japan, Kyoto University, Prof. Onishi Sensei, Prof. Ilham. Thank you very much for coming. And three of our speaker who will present by online. Researcher, I hope that all researchers that receive funding from our institute can attend this conference. And colleague and participant, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Hasanuddin University. It's truly an honor and pleasure for me on behalf of the Institute of Research and Community Services, Hasanuddin University, to welcome you to all to the 4th International Conference on Environment and Sustainable Development, ICESD. This is the 4th time for us to do this kind of international conference. Actually, every years we made this kind of conference more than 2. And this conference is not only a platform to exchange knowledge and research finding. Yeah, we know that we produce many articles, but also a collective commitment to shaping a better, more sustainable future for our planet. The challenge we face today is climate change, yeah, biodiversity loss and pollution and social inequality. I think we have many topics related with this and require more than just scientific innovation. So they require collaboration, empathy, and share responsibility across nations and disciplines. Universitas Hasanuddin through LPPM continue to strengthen research capacity and foster partnership with national and international institutions. So now we have 5 international collaboration now. So in our focus align with the global sustainable goals, particularly in addressing local challenges within the tropical and maritime ecosystem that define Eastern Indonesia and the broader Walase region. So we believe that through forum like ICESD, we can bridge science and policy research and real world practice, ensuring that knowledge through service society. So to all speakers and participants, I encourage to use this opportunity to share your insight, build network, and spark new collaboration that beyond this conference. Especially for our special guests from Kyoto and Malaya, I hope that this event can be, we can share our topic research, not only for the conference, but because we have many funding now. Next month will be the call proposal from our Ministry of Higher Education and Science and Research. This is a big money actually, and hopefully that by our TRG, Thematic Research Group, we have more than 250, and in our institute we have a 28 research center. So hopefully that both of you can share the topic that we can as an idea for making proposal. Yeah, hopefully that by this proposal we can try to continue our collaboration, not only for the speaker like in this time. Another thing is I have one student from Osaka University for the PhD. It's a Japanese. So if there is a chance for us to receive another student from Kyoto or Malaya, or the opposite, so our student, our lecturers as a student in your country, I think this is a good chance for us to sharing our knowledge and capability in the research. So thank you for that. So finally, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the organizing committee, partners and all contribution who made this event possible. I wish you all inspiring and fruitful conference. Thank you and welcome again in Makassar, the gateway of Eastern Indonesia. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Nasro Masih, for your warm welcome and thoughtful remarks to all the participants and invited speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, our next agenda is to have a welcoming speech from the Rector of Hasanuddin University, represented by the Vice Rector for Academic and Student Affairs. We cordially invite Professor Dr. Gigi Muhammad Ruslin, PhD, SPBM, to deliver his speech and officially open today's conference.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Distinguished guests, Professor Nisisi from Kyoto University and also Professor Sul Ilham from University of Malaya. Welcome again to Makassar, Hasanuddin University. Respected our all invited speakers who is attending online and fellow researchers, ladies and gentlemen. It's great honor for me to represent the Rector of Hasanuddin University in this remarkable event for the 4th International Conference on Environment and Sustainable Development, and also in conjunction with Thematic Research Group Expo 2025. I warmly welcome all participants, both from Indonesia and abroad. This annual conference has become one of the most important academic platforms at Hasanuddin University, not only to share scientific findings, but also to strengthen collaboration and addressing global environmental challenges and advancing the goals of sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, at Hasanuddin University, we strongly believe that higher education plays a strategic role in creating a solution of sustainability, one of our most powerful instruments in realizing this vision in the establishing of the Thematic Research Group since 2024. As Thematic Research Group is more than just a research group, it is focused, productive, and impactful academic ecosystem within our faculties, designed to strengthening research capacity, foster interdisciplinary collaboration, and produce innovation and that directly contribute to solving the real-world problems. Today, we proudly have 300 11 active thematic research groups involving 1,244 researchers and include 516 international partners. Working together under 6 major research groups: agro-complex, social science and engineering, medical, health science, vocational and multidisciplinary. Through thematic research group, Hasanuddin University has been also to strengthen international research network, enhance the quality and quantity of publication and citation, and often greater access to both national and international funding schemes such as Research Collaboration Indonesia, Pusat Kolaborasi Riset, and Pusat Unggulan Iptek. Distinguished participants, the outcomes of thematic research group initiative go beyond academic publication. They contribute directly to quality improvement and global ranking performance, including QS rankings, Webmetric, Sinta, and also sustainability development goals indicators. More importantly, they create a bridge between knowledge and social impact, ensuring that our research benefit communities and support Indonesian commitment to the sustainability development goals. Through thematic research group, Universitas Hasanuddin also aims to exchange academic reputation, attract international students and lecturers, and strengthening global partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here today, I encourage all researchers, practitioners, and students present today to use this forum to exchange ideas, establish new collaboration, and contribute to a greater, fairer, and more resilient world. Let us continue to strengthening our networks, excellence, innovation, and make University Hasanuddin a hub of excellence that connect local wisdom with global knowledge. Finally, on behalf of the Rector of Hasanuddin University, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to the organization committee, the head of research of community services, and also for the secretary, and all of contribution who have made this event possible with sincere hope and optimism. I now declare the 4th International Conference on Environmental and Sustainable Development and Thematic Research Group Expo 2025 officially open. And again, thank you very much for all, and special for our Vice Board of Trustees. Thank you very much. They are coming here not as a Vice Board of Trustees, but because he is lead by sample, he also have thematic research group. Again, thank you very much for your sample, and I hope all leaders can join this open together, and welcome. And again, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Prof. Ruslin, for your warm welcome. Please stay on the stage as we're going to have a symbolic opening ceremony. We invite the head of Research and Community Service Institute, Prof. Nasrum and Prof. Suharman, and our invited speaker who are here with us today, Professor Zul Ilham and Professor Onishi, to come up to the stage alongside with Prof. Ruslin to officially open the 4th ICESD 2025 through a symbolic gong bidding ceremony. We also invite the Vice Board of Trustees to come up to the stage as well. and gentlemen, the fourth ICSD 2025 is now officially open. We invite all the gentlemen on the stage together and we will have a photo session. Again, we invite all the gentlemen to stay on the stage, to step down from the stage and stand up in front of the audience. And we also invite all the participants who are present here with us today to stand up as our photographer will take a photo from the stage with us. Kami silakan Bapak Ibu untuk ikut berdiri karena kami akan melakukan sesi foto bersama dari atas panggung. Kembali kami mengundang seluruh peserta untuk dapat berdiri karena kami akan mengambil gambar dari atas panggung. Terima kasih, Bapak Ibu disilakan duduk kembali. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, you may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, now that conclude the opening ceremony for the 4th International Conference on Environment and Sustainable Development 2025. As the opening ceremony has concluded, we are informing again about the thematic research group exhibition that is held just outside this barroom, where the exhibition features various thematic research group showcases. Now we will have a short break for 15 minutes before we continue to our next agenda, that is invited speaker session that will be led by our moderator. Please stay tuned. Thank you very much.
Kasih pakai bisa dikasih on kan? Supaya kita tes dulu. Guys, link yang untuk sore bisa kita kirim. Ada nggak kapan tadi? Tadi pagi. Oh, anu kok kartu nama kok sudah kita cek. Belum kayak. Cek dulu. Iya. Kalau ada nanti saya singgah ambil. Bisa saya tes anu Pablo? Pakai mic. Mana mic?
Hello.
Halo Pablo.
Yes, I'm here.
Can you hear my voice?
Yeah, perfect. No problem.
We want to try connecting you with the audience. Can you show Pablo's voice, Pablo's face?
Hello.
Hello, my name is Ilham.
Hi, Ilham.
How are you?
I'm very good.
Good. I know that's
It's
early
very
morning
early
there
here.
in
Yeah.
Amsterdam, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
that's fine.
You are heard and your voice and
Perfect.
face is already clear on the audience. Can you see us?
Yes, I can see you.
Yes.
And should I try to share my slides?
Yeah, can you please try your slide before we officially start your presentation? Just a try.
Perfect. Maybe I put it side by side or as background. Should I? All right, so then you can see the slides and my face.
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah?
Okay,
Perfect.
battery on wheels.
Yes.
All right, yeah. We have three screens. We have a middle one
Okay.
and in the both side, but okay. All right, that should be okay. Can you slide
Yes.
your slide just to make sure that it moves once again? Okay. All right, that should be okay.
Perfect.
The invited speaker or plenary session will start at in 15 minutes, I suppose. So if you
Okay.
can hang on, and I know it's early morning there,
Yeah, it's fine, it's fine.
that would be okay. All right then.
All
Ibu,
right, perfect.
Ibu Ida is say hello from here, from Makassar.
Okay,
Your counterpart from here.
thank you.
She's here with me, so you should be
Okay.
okay. So you want to say hello to Ida? Hello.
Hello, Pablo.
Hello, Pablo. Ida is here.
Hi, Ida.
Okay, all right. So give us 15 minutes for just a break, and we'll start the plenary session for the speakers.
Perfect.
Okay, please stand
Perfect.
by. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Dear participants and ladies and gentlemen who are still outside, we kindly remind you that in 5 minutes we will begin our invited speaker session. We kindly invite you again to come inside the ballroom as the invited speaker session will be start in 5 minutes. We kindly invite again to all participants who are still outside the ballroom to come inside as the invited speaker session will start very soon. Kami mengingatkan kembali kepada Bapak Ibu peserta yang masih berada di luar ballroom untuk dapat masuk ke dalam karena sebentar lagi sesi invited speaker akan segera dimulai. Kami juga mengingatkan kepada Bapak Ibu peserta yang masih berdiri untuk dapat kembali ke tempat duduknya, karena sebentar lagi sesi invited speaker akan segera dimulai. Ladies and gentlemen, let us resume our agenda for today. We are entering the main agenda of today's conference, which is the invited speaker session, featuring 5 speakers from 5 different countries who will share their insights, expertise, and experiences related to our conference theme. This session will be led by Ilham Alibuddin, PhD, who will serve as the moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ilham Alibuddin, PhD.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It seems like everybody is still having coffee. So if you can make it, we are about to start our plenary session with our speakers. Actually, the schedule is 10:30. So now is actually 10:15, but if you can cooperate and have your break time, we will start our plenary session soon. So I would like to say Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh twice again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Oh, now I can hear some sound. And good morning to all of you. It is an honor that I got another opportunity to become a chair of this plenary session. I don't know, it seems Prof. Suha is always giving me this responsibility as a moderator or chair of a plenary session. But again, it's still an honor for me. I would like to address, most important is our head of the Research Institute and Community Service. If you can give a big applause for Prof. Nasrul Masih, everyone. Thank you for leading this research institute that give us a lot of opportunity to do research, of course. And I would like to address the secretary himself, Professor Suharman Hamzah. Thank you very much. And of course, there is Prof. Arshad in here, that already a good example for our leading research as a member of the Majelis Wali Amanat. Prof, thank you for attending our plenary session today. Once again to Professor Al-Azhar Arshad, if you can give your hand, thank you. And of course, our speakers all the way from Netherlands. We have 3 speakers from overseas, and they all from Europe. And Dr. Pablo is already get connected with us. He was already online, and it's early morning in Amsterdam right now. Yes. Can you get, there he is. Hello, Dr. Pablo, how are you? Can you say something?
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Very happy to be here.
Yes, okay, Dr. Pablo is already with us. And after Dr. Pablo, we will have Dr. Otto and also another speaker, which is the group of Professor Halima in the CARS group. Yeah, there is Otto Koleva Matinen and Tina Grebank from Slovenia. So we will have 3 speakers in the beginning, and then after that we will have our speakers that is already with us. Professor Onishi is here with us, and also Dr. Zul Ilham. Yeah, if you get clap hand for both of them, thank you everyone. Yes, we happen to have the same name, Dr. Zul. So when Pa Rector or the official mentioned Ilham, and I was saying, which Ilham? So the moderator or the speakers? So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to see whoever from the audience come from overseas. Anyone from overseas other than Indonesian? So in order I will not miss my address. Anybody from India? Anybody from Asia? Anybody from... Nobody? Just to make sure. Okay, that's fine, no problem. Because I can see a lot of audiences in here. There are a lot of professors because this international conference on environment and sustainability development, sustainable development, is actually in line with our effort, of Hasanuddin University effort, to create bigger research. And Pak Rector has already established, as you heard the report, that we created what's so-called TRG. Yeah? Jadi thematic research group, or a group thematic research. This is very good example of how we can create topical. And today we all do the expo, including my TRG, of course. So ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ilham Alimuddin. If the MC has already mentioned, I belong to Department of Geological Engineering in the Faculty of Engineering. And my job today is moderating or chairing this plenary session with all the invited speakers. So we have some time before lunchtime. So hopefully from these 5 speakers later, you will got a lot of enrichment, enlightenment, all about the topic about sustainability. So it range from AI, as you aware of our theme of our international conference, the artificial intelligence and digital. Yes, now we come to the era of digital in sustainable development. So, and if you're aware, sustainability is within in our life. All the indicators will touch any of your disciplines because SDGs has all these indicators depending on what research you are in. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, again, I would like to inform you that there will be 5 speakers for our plenary session today. We start with the online one because they are a little bit early today. So we prioritize the online. And after that, we will have the 2 of our speakers who attend in person in our location here in Hotel Unhas. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to just read a little bit of Dr. Pablo's biography. Allow me to read a little bit of your biography, Dr. Pablo. Dr. Pablo Puero Ruiz is an assistant professor in the Department of Social and Cultural Anthropology from Vrije Universiteit, Amsterdam. And he is also an associated research at the Millennium Nucleus on the impacts of China in Latin America in Chile. Yes, he is a trained social anthropologist and he is also a historian. Currently, he is developing a research with the agenda of exploring the links between finance and transition minerals in the production of minerals, a green economy. And this is between China and South America. That's why the title of his presentation here focus on the batteries in China. Dr. Pablo did his PhD in Max Planck Institute for Social Anthropology in Germany. Other than his current work, His research explored diverse aspects of electromobility. Wow, this is interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Migrant labor in China and Sino-Latin American relation, and he has lectured and researched in several South American, Chinese, and European institutions. Dr. Pablo, not only a researcher, but he is also a photo documentalist, which is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. And his part of his work has been published in the National Geography, if you are also in term of National Geography. And finally, he hosts a Spanish language podcast about the contemporary transformation in East Asia called Todo Bajo el Cielo. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome Dr. Pablo Reures to give us a presentation entitled Batteries on Wheels, AI, Electromobility, and the Redefinition of the Car in China. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Pablo, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Ilham. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Yes.
And for this kind invitation. It is very early here. It's 3:15 in the morning, and I hope I hope I have the energy to show during this presentation. But let's get into business. We don't have much time. Just so in the next 20 minutes, I'll be trying to present an argument with you about electromobility, smart technologies or AI, and how the idea of the car is being redefined in China. The data that I'm presenting today comes from fieldwork that I conducted in 2023 in the city of Shenzhen in southern China. At the time, I was part of a research team funded by the European Research Council at the University of Amsterdam, and the research team was called Worlds of Lithium. There's a website there on the screen if you're interested in the kind of work that we do. One of the research working groups was on China, another one was about Chile and the dynamics of extraction, and finally a third package was in Norway about the dynamics of battery recycling. And I was in charge of the Chinese work package, and we did many activities, research-related activities. So if you are interested in China's electrification of mobility and what that has meant for the country and for the world, where I'm inviting you to check out the work in our website. Overall, we were following lithium from the brines in Chile to the production and consumption sites in China, and finally to the recycling plants in Norway. In the case of China, our research centered around the socioeconomic and socio-technical transformations around the lithium-ion battery industry for electromobility in China, which is the largest EV market, electromobility market in the world. And that means a lot, because the sector of electromobility in China has gone through an accelerated expansion, not only at a global scale, but especially at a domestic scale. Nowadays, China is effectively the largest producer of electromobility and the largest market of electromobility in the world. And Shenzhen has played a key role in being one of the main cities for the production of electromobility. Shenzhen, right, where the company BYD that you might be familiar with, as it has a global reach. The company BYD has its headquarters. But also the electromobility from China and different parts of electric vehicles, not just the whole car, but most importantly, batteries, have expanded its presence from the country through electric vehicles around the world. Nowadays, China concentrates 99% of the global lithium refining industry That's one of the integral parts of a lithium-ion battery. 2 out of the 5 lithium battery makers, CATL and BYD, are Chinese, and the other relevant players are either South Korean or Japanese. And 3 out of the 10 most valuable car producers, EV producers, are Chinese. In this case, it's BYD, Geely, and GAC Ion. Now, the implication of China in the world of electromobility is absolutely strategic. On the one hand, China has a lot of the resources that it needs to supply its EV industry. But most importantly, the companies that are involved in EV industry have global supply chains that rely a lot on China. For example, in the case of lithium, the part that you cannot change from a lithium-ion battery, well, the majority of it is extracted either in Australia or Chile and Argentina. In most cases, in 99% of the cases of lithium metal, for example, it needs to be processed or refined in China. It's about 90% of lithium hydroxide that needs to be processed in China. 10% of the capacity of lithium refining comes from Chile, but 100% of that lithium is going to China anyways. So it's really a strategic position. If Japanese companies or Korean companies need battery-grade lithium, most likely they will need to deal with a partner in China that is doing the refining for them. And the refining is absolutely necessary to reach that battery grade that is required for the batteries to be used in electric vehicles in a safe way. So here in this global map of circulation of goods and commodities and metals and minerals, Shenzhen plays a very strategic part on the one hand, because it hosts the headquarters of a company like BYD with a global reach in the electromobility sector, and in the other hand, because it is a city of innovation, not only in the sense of technological innovation. It's a place where AI is being pushed forward. It's a place where new technologies of sustainability are being pushed forward and really innovated. But also a new way of life is being promoted. Shenzhen is the model city of Chinese socialism with Chinese characteristics. And at the same time, it's China's model city of so-called ecological civilization, which is a local domestic concept to refer to sustainable development. So in terms of how Shenzhen shows this to the world, well, probably one of the most important achievements of the city in its process of becoming sustainable is the implementation of public transportation, which currently is 100% electric. So all of the buses, all of the taxis of Shenzhen are electric. And this is important because this has made Shenzhen the first city in the world to become fully electric. And this is part of the national efforts to lead the global development of green technologies and a push for new drivers of growth, of economic growth, amid a struggling domestic and global economy. Now, in this context, I want to ask, what does the expansion of electromobility and its associated technologies, like AI, for example, tell us about the changing relations to the automobile in China? So let me start with the first axis of analysis. The way that electromobility has become such an important technology, not just for driving economic growth, but also a particular kind of economic growth that has a halo of sustainability, is through strong state policy and the socialization of what I'm calling here an ideology of convenience. On the first side, the cooperation between local governments, car producers, manufacturers, and electricity providers has been absolutely strategic. This is not a case where the free market has been given full capabilities, full space to do what it wanted, like has been the case here in Europe, for example. Well, the private sector has not really been up to the challenge to, for example, establish a domestic or regional industry of electromobility. In the case of China, has been the state at its national level, the one establishing important goals, like China should become the global center of electromobility. That was a state goal that later on was taken upon domestic companies that did the investment and research and development to become not just national champions of electromobility, but global important companies of electromobility. Nowadays, a company like BYD has absolute global presence, not just in the streets of Beijing and Shanghai and Shenzhen in this case, but also in the very conservative automobility markets of Europe. This is paired up, so this ecosystem, this cooperation and the emergence of an ecosystem of electromobility with the partnering of public and private enterprises has gone together with a strategy of re-urbanization, and this is in the case of Shenzhen is very clear, where it is possible to make charging points available, like the one you see in this picture, almost everywhere, because the state plays a big role in how the cities are organized. Therefore, if it's required to put charging points along a main avenue or a side street, the state can take those decisions. The local state can take those decisions and act accordingly. So that level of coordination and the presence of the state have been very important elements into making electromobility a successful industry inside of China, and the fact that it has been able to change so quickly. But that's just one side of the equation. On the other side, you need to have demand, how people have been adopting this technology so easily. And here I found inspiration in the work of an anthropologist from the United States called Jenny Hooverman that has been talking about the so-called ideology of convenience, saying that convenience it's an important element of what she terms the spirit of digital capitalism, and that usually is entangled with economies of data, where the convenience element operates at the expense of, for example, personal data as a business practice that is integral to the spirit of digital capitalism. And we certainly see this in the case of electric vehicles, where data collection and data training through AI has become so critical. This leads to the next point of my analysis, in the sense that that ideology of convenience is being mined by the aspects of corporate strategy and design philosophy supporting electromobility. First, electromobility, not just in China but globally, is a highly competitive market. It requires further success, and this is what we observe from the evidence in China. For success, it really requires a vertical integration along supply chains. This is something that the Chinese companies have really pioneered. In the case of Volkswagen, for example, or the Daimler Group, or Ford in the US, we don't really see a similar behavior, whereas a company like BYD is integrated from the mining all the way to the production of the vehicle and the battery that they can sell to other companies anyway. In the case of companies like Volkswagen, we really see a separation, a fragmentation of their commodity chain that makes, for example, cost shifting alongside the commodity chain a much more daunting task than in the case of China. So Chinese vehicles are not only of a very robust technology and materials these days, but also much more cost effective than their European or North American counterparts. Now, that is one very important aspect of the corporate strategy, understanding that the more you can do in-house, the more you can earn and the larger profit margin that you can have. And that is not just related to the development and research necessary for creating an effective electric vehicle. It's most importantly also the software. And that's why a lot of these EV companies, Chinese EV companies, are seeing themselves not as car makers, but rather as tech companies. And here's where that ideology of convenience really plays out. The moment that a company sees itself as a tech company, the economy of that company changes, and it stops being about the commodity that they are delivering, in this case the electric vehicle, and it becomes the whole pattern of accumulation then shifts to, for example, data economies. Therefore, what these companies are providing is a vehicle, so a ways of mobility, especially urban middle-class mobility or high-class mobility, but at the same time, a machine that is able to collect data and use that data for the convenience of the users. Chinese companies have been very strategic in it. So they have put a lot of emphasis on software and AI integration. And just because I'm an anthropologist, I'm allowed to share a vignette of myself. During fieldwork, one of the things that really shocked me about the way that people relate to their vehicles is that AI is so integrated nowadays into the operations of the vehicle itself, but also into the automatization of processes that used to be purely human. Nowadays, the technologies like LiDAR, technologies of self-driving, are becoming much more popular. Vehicles in the line of BYD or NIO, two popular brands in China these days, already have this integrated self-driving capabilities that are working over AI technology. So one of the really interesting things that I found was in the experience that I was hanging out with one of my colleagues who was very proactive in promoting a brand called NIO. And one of the really interesting things she started to do was when we were driving together, she would start talking to the car, like giving instructions and asking questions. And all of that was operating over a mobile network that will operate also over an algorithm that will make this work. So she was able to say, hey, can you change the lights in the car? Now I want to make it darker, or I want to make it brighter. Please roll the windows up and down. Open the back door, open the charging point, etc. And also one of the interesting things that she could do is like, oh, please provide a massage to the driver. So in this very interesting fashion, you were driving the car and she would say this, and the car then suddenly started to massage you over while you were sitting and driving, which I thought it was terribly dangerous. But all of those were possibilities, and this is part of the integration of a broader ecosystem of technologies of convenience. Among them, I'm counting AI, for the ends of the promotion of the product, which in itself is not necessarily sustainable, but is part or is captured by the narratives of sustainability, in which the car, the electric vehicle, is also an important element of. To some extent, given the strong integration of these technologies, EVs have become not only a ways of mobility, but most importantly, they have become entertainment centers. For example, you can sing karaoke while you're driving and you're stuck in traffic. And an extension of the office working space. There are possibilities to connect to the Wi-Fi inside of the car and continue working while you are on the move. So all of these aspects of this design philosophy are part of that integrations of technology that promote an ideology of convenience that seems to be so strategic to this sector. Now, a third axis of analysis here has to do with the consumer preferences and the exercise of a kind of moral power. In the case of China, consumers really favor some kind of perks over range and speed, which seem to be the concerns more strongly in Europe and the United States or North America in general. Those perks are those aspects of artificial intelligence and automatic self-driving, the massage capabilities, the karaoke singing. So all of those little perks about the convenience of using this vehicle are much stronger selling points than, for example, the environmental morality of the electric car in itself. Here I'm comparing it strongly with the case of Europe, where people buy an electric car because they see it as good for the planet. That's the main driver for them to buy the electric car. Whereas in China, that environmental concern is not necessarily present in the consumer preference, but rather what kind of technologies does it have? What are the perks that are included when I get this car? Now, that idea of the exercise of moral power is one of my theoretical contributions to the field. And I frame it into this kind of exercise of power through narratives of environmental moralities. And what I see in the case of China is it doesn't operate at the individual level, but rather the national level. It's the state that engages in this environmental morality, but consumers are not pressed to do that as it does in Europe. However, there are aspects of social differentiation. One of them is that the EVs have a green license plate, and there are some bureaucratic perks as well. For example, if you buy an electric vehicle, you can register it much faster than if it's an internal combustion engine, which can take months to get a registration. So the issue of environmental moralities is shifted. Unlike in Europe, the mobilization of environmental moralities happens much more at the corporate or political spheres and not at the individual and consumer level. To a great extent, the EV is a technological device and to some extent works as a sumptuary status symbol. The prestige of just having that brand, BYD today, is almost as equal as driving a Tesla. So it's mostly operating at that level of sumptuary status symbol. Now let me close this up as time is almost up. So what we observe in China is that the integration of smart technologies into these devices that are considered a green mobility technology is less a symbol of environmental technofix, but rather a battery on wheels. And this is something that I heard several times from engineers in production lines, where mobility is just another function of the software of the vehicle. And that is what makes it all very interesting. So electromobility is redefining the car in China with increasing levels of technology that are at the disposal of consumers. And those kinds of technologies that are being implemented do not necessarily are entangled with ideas of environmental morality, but rather with the idea of convenience and using this as a point of, on the one hand, driving it and using it in different situations. For example, when you're stuck in traffic or when you want to give instructions to the car so you don't need to use buttons. But on the other end of that is an aspect of data collection and data trading that is an important source of revenue also for these companies. And that certainly makes a strong difference between the electromobility sector in China and in Europe, just as a case for comparative analysis. Thank you very much. And yeah, once again, I'm really happy to be here and looking forward to the other presentations.
Thank you, Dr. Pablo. If you can give your hands to Dr. Pablo for his amazing presentation related to the electromobility and example from China. It is interesting because if you want to compare how our city adopting with the electromobility, we are probably still far away. How China government trying to adopt within the policy, etc. That is just how the city of Shenzhen, yeah, Dr. Pablo. So ladies and gentlemen, we have some time for question and answer. I know some of you may be curious for the presentation of how Dr. Pablo give us example of how, what do you call it, the city in China is really adopting all of this electromobility within the city. We have somebody raise hand over there. Committee, can you please help me for a mic so we can hear and Dr. Pablo also can hear the questions. We have 10 minutes question and answer. Don't worry, we have plenty of time. And then I would like to have maybe somebody from this side later. And please mention your name And your institution, thanks.
Baik, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good morning, Mr. Pablo.
Good morning.
I'm Fadil from, I am student from the postgraduate
Of?
of UNHAS.
Oh, okay. Postgraduate Hasanuddin University.
Yes.
Department of?
Medical.
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 Yes.
Yes.
Please, Fadil.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Mr. Pablo, from your point of view, in a developing country, to start being a part of the future technology like this one to adopt the electrify future, what is the best sector they start with? Is it from the resource manufacturing, or maybe from your previously said this software? Thank you for the answer.
So for future technology, where do we start, Pablo? What's the best
Yeah.
sector? Are we starting from the manufacturer or from the software side?
Well, Badil, if I get your name correctly, thank you for the question. You really are pushing me here to give a very concrete answer to a very big problem. Where to start? It really depends on the conditions of the country and the resources that are available to that country. In the case of my own country, which is a developing country, Chile, Chile is very rich in lithium and copper. So the logical place to start is resources. Now, one of the biggest discussions here is, okay, to what extent do we engage with this? So one possibility is, let's just sell the resource and let the Chinese make the batteries and make the Chinese make the cars and we just buy them, which has been the traditional way of doing things, at least since the 1970s for our country. But that doesn't provide you much added value. So in order to increase the role of these economies in the emerging electromobility economy, I think one of the best ways is to engage in more added value parts of the supply chain. Instead of providing, for example, just the raw material, why not making the battery if already so many of those materials are available in the country? Indonesia is very rich in nickel. And the nickel industry is very polemic as well because it creates new sources of pollution, and there is a whole demand about sovereignty of the mineral. So it's a similar discussion than in my own country. I think that would be one of the ways. How far can you go sustainable economically in levels of investments in engaging in that sector, especially thinking of regional distribution of batteries? As countries are moving to, for example, changes in their energy matrix, then you will need more batteries for stationary use in order to make the flow of energy from wind energy or solar energy stable to be used around your energy grid. So the demand for batteries is massive. We need a lot of batteries. China should not be the only producer, or China, South Korea, and Japan should not be the only producers for something that can also be done locally. So that would be one strategy. And the second part I think is important, is what else can you do to the electric car to make it valuable for your own country or for your own regional reality? And software there is also very important. The data policies of some regions are much more stringent or relaxed than in the People's Republic of China. So you will need a software that includes different kinds of data management. And second, a software that really tailors to the local needs. Maybe Indonesian users or Chilean users interact with screens in different ways. I know that Chileans don't like to have too many things on the screen, whereas I know that in China, they don't really bother too much if there are too many things on the screen. It's not a big problem to them. So those aspects of the interaction with the software can be also very important and very valuable for those large companies that are creating the vehicles, and the software can be easily changed for regional adoption. So there I gave you two possibilities.
Okay. All right. I hope it gives you insights. Thank you, Fadil, for your questions.
Thank you.
Yes, I think we need to overview how Indonesia is our producing nickels, most producers. So we should be able to do that. I think so.
Yes,
All right, thank you, Pablo,
you,
for
bro.
the first question. Any more from the side in here? Can raise your hands. This is a very interesting topic, actually, especially for those engineers and miners. We have plenty of nickels in our area, so maybe we can start with this supply chain. It could be a possibility. Any question? If not, I would like to ask Pablo. Can I ask question? Pablo,
Yeah, absolutely.
we have problem with the social in here in terms of adopting the technology. Well, the government policies is really actually trying because we are into green technology. We are trying to have zero emission vehicles, etc. But the problem, we're looking at the society, how we can adopt this technology. Of course, there is, the drive from the community. Now, from China's experience, how would that be? We can maybe get an example. Because you see, society, when they're not spirited or, motivated to get this, then we never have it. I mean, it's take a long time. I remember when I was in Japan, I already know each car has its own satellite, Google Drive where you go, But in here, we just recently started, but because not all people would like to have it. Not to mention the electrical vehicle. We don't have station where you can put, we have some, but not much as the people use. Answer. Thank you, Pablo.
Yes. Well, you touch a very important point there, Ilham. On the one hand, the availability of the electric vehicle is necessary. I mean, you cannot buy what you don't have. So making the vehicles available. But not all vehicles, all electric vehicles are created equal. We are seeing similar challenges in other places like in South America about electromobility being more of an elite kind of solution or an elite kind of market where people that have more economic means can access it. And then therefore, electromobility becomes a way of social differentiation and it's mostly for the rich. And then you see them driving Teslas or driving expensive Chinese cars like NIO or driving expensive European electric cars. So I believe more in a democratic approach to this. And China teaches us a lot. One of the issues that China teaches us is that we learn in the Chinese case is that the electromobility market is created. It's not naturally given. People will not buy electric vehicles if they are not encouraged to buy. And by encouragement in this sense, in a market, we mean subsidies. Yes. The state needs to make funds available to make the purchasing of electric vehicles cheaper than an internal combustion engine one. Right. So that's rule number one, public investments in and subsidizing the market. Second, public investments in infrastructure, just as you mentioned. If there are no charging points available, or if charging is not convenient, convenience keeps being the key concept here, then people will not feel encouraged to buy it.
Exactly.
One of the big problems in the Netherlands, for example, today, is that electricity prices are so high that charging an electric vehicle is not necessarily cheaper than using gasoline. What is the state solution? It's not making electricity cheaper, which would be for me the common sense solution, but rather implementing new taxes for gasoline to make gasoline more expensive.
Okay.
So it's another way of thinking, I guess. It's the Dutch way of thinking. But I think electricity has to be affordable and it needs to be more convenient to have that car. It should be an advantage to have the electric vehicle. And ideally is that it's cheaper to have it. Yeah. Certainly you need less maintenance. An internal combustion engine has so many moving parts and so many dirty elements in it that you need every year to do some kind of cleaning and maintenance. But it's not necessarily the case with an electric vehicle. Right. And third, and I think is most important, there are a lot of myths around electric vehicles. And one of them is that, for example, they're unsafe, that they set on fire suddenly, or that if you're in a car crash, it's just gonna burn down, or that they are radioactive. So all of these are kind of mythological elements around, or narratives around the electric vehicle industry that certainly need to be addressed. The presence of electric vehicles, for example, in terms of partnerships with local cities that can make them more available is strategic. We see this in China. In China, the local city administrations, all of the cars that they have are provided by one company. The implementation of electromobility in China, for example, for buses and taxis, has been part of a partnership between the local state and the private sector to make those taxis and buses available at a cheaper price for the city. So this partnership that makes the electric car more visible, the fact that we can see it more often, we might feel it more familiar, and then we'll be less scared to actually have it ourselves. So there are 3 ways in which this can be promoted at a social level with the engagement of the community. But I think the most important one, just to close, is that it has to be affordable.
Yes.
And in Europe, that's not the case. Most of the electric cars are relatively targeted to a middle-class audience, so they're relatively on the expensive to very expensive sector. But in China, that's not the case. You can find very cheap, electric vehicles. So ideally, those also go abroad. Ideally, those also go to Europe, to Indonesia, to Chile. So everybody can afford one. The technology is there. The electric vehicles are there. So the point is there a market? I think there is.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Dr. Pablo. 3 points that you gave us. And I hope the people here, if you make decisions, you are from government, you can see the points that Pablo was giving us. You have to provide the cars cheaper for the people. You know, we can buy it. Otherwise, you never use fixed vehicle. I know, you know the car, that green ones for electric vehicle, if you want to ride Grab or Gojek, that is only one example that we have. You can try that. Thank you, Dr. Pablo, for all this excellent presentation. Give us a round close to Dr. Pablo for sharing his research from all the way from Amsterdam. Thank you, Dr. Pablo. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And of course, Dr. Ida there is sending her regard as the research partner of Dr. Pablo. Please give your hand to Dr. Ida Tanjung, the Kapus Sejarah dan Pariwisata. Thank you, Ibu Ida and Dr. Pablo. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to continue our next speaker. Now, the speaker for both number 2 and number 3, we need to combine them because Dr. Ono Matinen from University Helsinki cannot make it. So the 2 presentation will be covered by Dr. Tina Grebank. I hope I spell your name correct. Can we say hello first to, I don't know how to pronounce your name, Tina?
Hello,
Hello.
good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm perfect. Well, it's 3 o'clock in the morning here, so for this time of the day, I'm quite well.
What time in no, you are in Slovenia, is that right?
I'm in Slovenia, in Ljubljana, but it's the same time as Helsinki. It's 3:50 in the morning, so quite early.
Oh, 3 subuh di sana, Bapak Ibu. We are lucky that we are still morning here. It's already 10 o'clock, Tina. Yeah. Sorry for waking you up early morning.
No problem, no problem. It's my pleasure to be here. It's also my pleasure to jump in for Otto Mittinen's lecture.
Yes.
Because actually the topic is more or less on the same thing, the same reasoning.
Okay.
And when I shall start, just let me know.
Right. Okay, that's fine. So you will be covering both your presentation and also Otto, yeah, Dr. Matinen from Helsinki.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I try to join it into a single one, so
Right,
to just make it as a package.
Right. Okay. So let me just look at your slides first, the latest one. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Otto and also Makinen will talk about the diversity and biotechnology potential of selected wood decomposing fungi in karst areas of Sulawesi and Indonesia. That is by Dr. Matinen. And the other one by Tina. Let me check. Oh, yeah. Yeah, are you presenting this diversity and biotechnology, or you want to talk about more diversity of
Actually,
yourself?
it will be more diversity, but at the end, there will be a few of biotechnological implication or possibilities that these fungi are actually giving to us. So it should be both.
Should it be both? Because in my list in here, your title is Biodiversity and biotechnology potential of ectomycorrhizal fungi. So they both talk about fungi in karst
Yes.
areas of Sulawesi. And both of them are the partner of Professor Halima La Rekeng. If you can also give hand for Prof. Halima, ladies and gentlemen. Mari kita tepuk tangan buat Prof. Halima, rekan partner research from Helsinki and from Slovenia. So without further ado, I probably just give the time to you because it's both of you. I need to read the biography, but whatsoever, Dr. Tina Grebank is from Slovenian Forestry Institute, of course from the country of Slavonia. They work together with Otto, Dr. Matinen, with Professor Halima Larekeng. And this research basically on the biodiversity of area of karst in South Sulawesi. I think that's just an introduction, and now it is time for you to present. So take your time for both of the presentation. I believe the audience will listen carefully and maybe share some question and answer later. So,
Perfect. Thank you.
your
I will
time.
just
Yes,
share
Tina
my
Grebank
presentation now.
from Slavonia. Ladies and gentlemen, give your hands to Grebank. Allow me also to get down.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again from Europe. First of all, I would like to thank you to be here. I would like to thank to the organizers of the 4th International Conference of the Environment and Sustainable Development. Of course, to the chair, Professor Suharman Hamza, and to everyone who is listening to this lecture. Comparing to the previous lecture, we will go back to nature now, more or less, because the idea that Otto and me had with this presentation was actually to show you what we managed to do in the last year or last few years in regarding the fungi from the karst region. And maybe just a short note what actually brought us together, Otto, me, and our partners from Indonesia. Of course, the research project on the diversity of fungi in karst, that followed by a conference that happened in April and a field work that happened in this April as well. And the focus was, of course, fungi. As was already explained, we will go into the two directions. One is the wood decomposing fungi, which are one group, and the other group will be the ectomycorrhizal fungi. Still, we will stay within the fungus world. So this is basically the fungus world, but we will I will present two different functional groups of these fungi. So on this slide, some people claim there's about 5 million species of fungi, which is more or less true. These are just rough estimates, of course, no one actually counted them. But one thing is for sure, they are extremely diverse. You can find basically everything from fungi, just let me do like this. Laser pointer. From fungi that basically brew our food, that cause our health problems, that are a simple scavenger of food or places, to those who are really pathogenic, like the one on fishes, or the fungi that just looks nice, like these one that glow in the dark, or the fly agarix that is very known from fairy tales, to those that are very expensive, like the truffles here. And especially these two groups, so basically the wood decomposing and the truffles will be in spot of this lecture. So let me start with the wood decomposing fungi. This is more or less a review of those that we have collected on the last field trip, and the Otto put them, let's say, the more interesting collections together. And we will start with the proper wood decomposing fungi. So why wood decomposing? Actually, fungi themselves are a very important part of the carbon cycle. So not that they bring nutrients back into the ecosystem, but they also determine the speed, how fast the carbon is turning around, basically how fast the carbon is transferred into CO2, which is, of course, nowadays not very welcoming atmospheric gas. And of course, the plants need to bring it back to the ecosystem. So fungi do play the role here, even though it's usually actually neglected when we do the calculations of carbon budgeting, people just forget about the speed of the decomposition by fungi. So those that we have collected, the more interesting ones, are definitely Microporus xanthopus. Actually, this is the first one. If you go around into your forest, you will find it everywhere. It's very common, and it's a white rot fungus. It means that it primarily decomposes the lignin in the wood. This is very important from the biotechnological point of view, as lignin is a relatively recalcitrant element or structure of the wood, and decomposing it in, let's say, in biotechnological processes, this is quite an energy demanding process. Or if you use fungi, it's of course a very nice way around in reducing especially the required energy or enzymes for its decomposition. The second one is Phaulus teniculus. We actually pointed this out for one very funny reason. Even though it's a white rot fungus, it's also edible. Well, at least the counterparts in Europe are edible. I don't have any information of if people would be eating it in Indonesia, but definitely the group that's worth to explore for their edibility. Similar is the near relative Phaulus muloccensis. Sorry, the Latin name are complex, but that's how the life is. And we continue with the Polyporus trichoma. This is another very common fungus, a polyporus. It means that it has the pores from the lower part of the cap, and it has this characteristics hairy margin that gives the fungus also the name. One thing about the fungal name is that they are usually very connected to what you see in nature, and we will come together to some other examples like this. And this one is Trichaptum durum. It's another white rot fungus, and it's very common on logs. So this one actually goes to larger wood particles. From the environmental point of view, this is very important, because if you are going into the protection of the fungi in the forest, you need to protect the whole ecosystem. And you can only protect the whole ecosystem if you give those fungi food. For example, if you want to protect this specific species, you need to leave large wood particles inside the forest. In native forest, that is of course naturally present, but in for example, in managed forest or in plantation forest, this is not really a case. The next one is Lividopora benetosta. It's another white rot and also quite common in logs, usually overseen because of its typical appearance on the lower part of the log. So you basically need to grab the log and turn it around, otherwise you don't see it. And from here on, we come to another one that its name tells you everything about it. It's Fomitopsis carnea. The carnea comes actually from this meat type of the color of the pores. Comparing to the previous group, this is the brown rot fungus. The brown rot fungi in general tend to decompose primarily lignin, cellulose and hemicelluloses, or at least modified. So it means that at the end, you will end up with the wood that is super dark. Mostly because the remainings of these hard, partial decomposed woods is lignin or some other high organic compounds of the wood. Another Fomitopsis is this one. Then we go from the fungi that form the more or less proper fruiting bodies, the fruiting bodies that you can see like a proper mushroom, into the so-called corticoid. This is Hydnophlebia chrysorhiza. The main characteristics is that it doesn't really make the fungi, but it just grows on the surface like a kind of sheet or a cover of the woods, and it tends to be very aggressive because it forms the rhizomorphs, the structures that can easily move across like you can see here, move across the air or some nutrient poor areas into more nutrient rich areas. This specific species is a complex, which means that it's probably requires a better taxonomic analysis, so we just gave it a kind of provisioning name, and pointing out that recently there were 2 new species described in China could actually be a good hint for researchers also in Indonesia. Go find them more, explore them better, because these probably things still taxonomically hiding inside this little beautiful mushroom. Another very common is Elmeria cladophora, then we have Auricularia cornea, Auricularia delicata. These are all very nice to see, but from the biotechnological point of view, they are actually not exploited yet, mostly because we know very little about their biology and their dynamics of growth. So similar is for Dacrybolus. Comparing to the previous ones where we more or less known the species, this one is unknown yet. So this is a non-described species. It's a brown rot fungus, obviously, because it causes the browning of the wood during decomposition. And this species also needs further taxonomic evaluation and description. Let's see one or two more, let's say, rare species. One is definitely Phlebophora superposita. This is a rare in Indonesia. It is not so rare elsewhere, but in Indonesia it's quite rare, and it's interesting in terms because this species was actually the type species of the whole genus. These were the fungi that were primarily collected on the wood. So when you go into the forest, you check the log, you check the branches, you see them there. But there are some other types that I will just point out a few examples. One are the fungi on soil. And specifically this one, you have to imagine this is a very tiny little thing. The fungus, it's up to 2 centimeters large, hardly or even smaller. And this one specifically is so-called basidiolichen. So it's another group of fungi, usually very poorly studied, not just in Asia, also in Europe and US, because they're relatively complex. Their lifestyle is different. They live in symbiosis with algae, and they form the lichens. So they are important from the ecological point of view, and they're also in a decline because the lichens in general are relatively sensitive to pollution, especially to air pollution. And if you have an area with a larger nitrogen deposition, or for example the higher ozone concentration in the air, which is common in some industrial areas, these fungi, actually the lichens including this fungi, tend to disappear first one. So then we had a few more mycorrhizal fungi that I will talk a bit more later. 3 of them are the so-called Coltritias. Why I said putative mycorrhizal? Because for these one, we don't know the connecting structures between the fungus and the tree yet. The second is another Coltritia. These 2 are also unknown. We don't know the species, so we would need to go and identify them better. But we do know that for sure that the genus Sebatsina is ectomycorrhizal. It is commonly found on the roots of plants, but the funny thing is that we usually oversee it because it grows like a kind of small little mycelium close to the ground. People just don't notice it, they don't see that. When you go into the foray, you tend to miss it. Similar one is the second Sebatsina, which looks even less prominent or less obvious, I would say. And for the end of the Otos part of the speech, he asked me to point out one specific species that has a high biotechnology potential, and this is probably what is actually interesting for the audience here. This is the Octichete cervinogilva. It's another spacey looking mushroom. It's a white rot fungus, so it means that it decomposes the lignin, which is in fungi always connected with a very rich set of oxidative or decomposing enzymes. And these enzymes are basically a heaven for biotechnology uses, not just directly through the use of mycelium, but also for isolation and for purification of enzymes and for using them in the biotechnological processes. As I said, this is wood decomposing, and the good thing is that this fungus grows very fast in pure culture. So if you make an isolation on the petri dish, it will grow very quickly, very typically, you can't miss it, which means that it will also grow very quickly if you grow it in bioreactor. So it can grow fast and it can produce a lot of secondary substances, including exoenzymes for decomposition of wood very, very quickly. It is a very close relative to a genus Phanerohete. Actually, it was the same genus, but then they split it at some point. And for this genus, we need to know that it have very active decomposition chemistry. It can accumulate and remove heavy metals from the substrate. It can degrade xenobiotics, pollutants, including antibiotics or some oil fractions. It is also used for production of bioethanol already, even though this production is slightly less active like in some yeasts. So, since this fungus was found in Sulawesi, in Indonesia, it seems to be relatively common. And as long as I know, it was also isolated in pure culture, so definitely it would make sense to go in, collect more samples, to collect more isolates as well, and to do a better characterization, because in fungi, even though we are talking about the same species, they tend to be functionally very, very different. So if you put them in different environment, they will function different than in another environment. And also within the species, you have populations that can behave, from enzymatic point of view, very, very distinctly from another ones. So if any of these so far shown species or fungi, Phanerochete cervinogilua is definitely the one that you should focus on if you want to go into the biotechnology use of fungi. So this was the author's part of the speech, and except with a few exceptions, this was about the wood decomposing fungi, so the fungi that grow in woods. On the other hand, my focus are ectomycorrhizal fungi, or mycorrhizal fungi in general. So maybe just well, briefly, when we visited and we did the survey in April this year, my task was to focus on two groups. So one was the ectomycorrhizal fungi, which is a functional group of fungi that establish the symbiotic connection with the plants, and the other group were the hypogeous or sequestrate fungi. These are the non-functional but the morphological group that forms the fungus inside the soil. Maybe you better know the name truffles, but the truffle is just a specific name for a specific taxa, but the truffles are also hypogeous fungi. So we will be talking about these two groups here. So ectomycorrhizal and truffles or hypogeous fungi. So let's start with the more common ectomycorrhizal fungi. I put a little bit of the theory because this is my research topic, so I know probably too much about it. But just to sum it up, the point is that ectomycorrhizal fungi, of course, they grow in the soil, and they make the connections with the plants. The connection is called mycorrhizae. Basically, it's the connection of mycelium with the root cells. The connection is very tight, so it's very intimate, and this connection enables the fungus and the plant to exchange water, minerals, and nutrients at the same time. The ectomycorrhiza itself looks very, I would say, interesting, nice, beautiful in some cases, and also very diverse, which means that these structures that correspond to the specific fungal species can be also quite easily identified if you find them on the roots. But overall, the point is they make the connection of fungus and plant. What does it mean for the plants? I mean, it gives a better access to nutrients, especially phosphorus and nitrogen. They can accumulate phosphorus and keep it for the later times or for the bad times. As said earlier, some of them can actually accumulate or adsorb the toxic elements. So some groups of fungi, of mycorrhizal fungi, are used as remediation fungi. They can reduce activity of pathogens, and so there's plenty of functions or ecosystem services that they can do in the environment. And from the ecosystem, probably the most important is this one here. They make the connections. They connect different trees. They can be of the same species or of different species. Direct connection with the mycelium, which means that basically one tree can support another tree through the network of hyphae in the soil. And this is the part which we usually don't see, which we miss, because the hyphae are very thin, like 5, 10, 15 micrometers in diameter. So unless you're very, very careful or you use a microscope, you will miss them in the soil. But they do make this mycorrhizal web in the soil that turns the soil into a kind of internet of nutrients and information and water. And what is also important from my point of view as a forester is that the higher the diversity of fungi in the soil, usually the higher the diversity of trees or above ground vegetation in the ecosystem. This is very important when you do the restoration project. For example, if you want to restore a specific devastated, damaged, or anyhow changed area, don't bring just plants. Bring also rhizosphere organisms, so bacteria and mycorrhizal fungi, and the high diversity, not just one, because this will enable you to spread or to grow to restore the ecosystem much easier. So, biotechnology of ectomycorrhiza is something that is known, and there are, as mentioned before, most commonly used for mycoremediation. They can also be used for biofertilization through the easier or better acquirement of nutrients. They contribute to carbon cycling and carbon budgeting, even though this part, as mentioned earlier, is usually completely neglected in carbon budgeting. Bioprotection is another funny thing that mycorrhizal fungi do, even though we don't see it. They do make a kind of, because of this intimate connection with the root, they protect the root from the other fungi and from the pathogenic fungi and pathogenic bacteria. And in addition, they can also, the fungi can also produce antimicrobial substances that can prevent or stop growing the microbes that could be potentially harmful for the plant. And one more aspect of the ectomycorrhizal fungi, which is usually not actually considered a biotechnology, but more a forestry, even though it's getting more and more into the biotechnology field, is the production. So the cultivation of mushrooms or fungi. As I mentioned, many of these mushrooms are edible, have other biotechnology uses. They can be used as a building material, as biofilters. They can be edible as sporocarps. They can be a source of secondary substances, including enzymes or antioxidants and so on. There are a lot of studies done on that. And of course, they help the trees to grow in specific areas. So this kind of production is currently, let's say, under development. Even though still just focus on some specific species, but it is, let's say, it is happening. So this is the focus of my research as well, and the area in which I would say, please develop your knowledge on mycorrhiza and ectomycorrhiza in this direction. Okay, just a bit about the cultivation of ectomycorrhiza, because if you want to do something with it, you should be able to cultivate it. It's not as easy as with wood decomposing fungi, because in wood decomposing, you just put them on a petri dish and they will grow. Ectomycorrhizal fungi do need a plant partner to grow. The systems are different from completely sterile system to a semi-sterile systems here to almost basically natural systems like here, this one in the field, or at the end, the plantation dedicated for production of ectomycorrhizal fungi. From your point of view, from the user's point of view, you need to know that the more you move into the natural systems, the costs of per unit or per tree are getting down, but also the purity or the sterility of the system is getting down. So in sterile system, you exactly know which fungus and which plant you have. In cultivation plantation, you never get a pure 100 pure one species ectomycorrhizal system. There are always other fungi present. It's unavoidable, it's nature. And of course, you need to have the system to grow. So you need to know to have the knowledge, you need to have the specific seedlings that are inoculated with your fungus. You need to set up the proper plantation. You need to have the ways to find them, which for, let's say, the epigeous fungi like bolets, it's very easy. But if you go into the soil, into the truffle cultivation or truffle looking, you need to have a specific tool. And another thing that most of the mycologists and also foresters never think about is trading. I mean, you can have the plantation, you can have several tons of fungi. If you don't know how to sell them, you just do it for nothing. Okay, let's go into the Sulawesi forests in actually the southern part of West Sulawesi, the area where we did the foray. These are the genera that we found, or the species that we found. So we found one Suilus that is similar to Suilus huapi, one Amanita that is similar to Amanita nehuta. This is a New Zealand species, so makes sense, even though the similarity of at the DNA level is very low. So probably this is a new species. We have several Inocybe species. We have one Russula species that is similar to Russula fetens. We found Lactaria vinacea, this one here specifically. It's a very small one, unfortunately. Then we found the Cantarellus that still awaits identification. This is this one here. We found the Scleroderma, which is most likely Scleroderma bolushanense, this one species here, and we found one Lactiflus that used to be Lactarius, and it's most likely Lactarius albopicrus, is this one here. Even though these names are probably a space science for you, there are some things that I would like to point out. Some of these species are not really eatable or can be poisonous. This is, for example, Inocybe and Scleroderma. The other ones are in Europe known to be edible and highly priced fungi. For example, Cantarellus, some Amanita species, Suidus species. But since we don't know exactly which species these are, or at least not for all of them, it would be very, very good that the studies would go in this direction. So to test their edibility or the presence of some toxins in these fungi to see if you can use them or not. If yes, then you have two options. You can go into the forest and collect them in nature, or you can go into the cultivation direction and cultivate them as ectomycorrhizal fungi. I only have a few more slides, so I will finish in a few minutes. I would like to focus a little bit also on the hypergeas and the sequestrate fungi. These are the ones that I kind of focused during the survey itself. I was hoping to find more of them, but there were not so many. But maybe just, yeah, a bit of a theory. Hypergeas fungi are the fungi that produce microscopic sporocarps or partially or completely embedded in soil. So you find them, they are in the soil, you don't see them, you can't really detect them with your eye. You need to have a special tools to do it, either to rag the soil or a dog that will smell it and find it. They developed like this, so this is basically an ontogenetic development. They all developed from the epigeas, so from the soil for above ground fungi, by moving the sporocarps into the soil. That's how it looks like, more or less. These are, of course, today different species, but the direction went in this way. And what's more important, if the wind and water were the means of spore dispersal, so the reproduction for the epigeas fungi, in hypergeas fungi, you need to have another vector. This is usually water or more commonly some animals that eat them. So if animal doesn't eat these truffles, let's call them truffles, they will not disperse spores. So they're always connected with the animals. So not just look for fungus, you can also look for animals that eat them, and then you will see what you have in your system. That's, as I said, it's more or less what I mentioned. It's not easy to find them, and many of them are actually not really economically important. And unfortunately, those that we collected, so at least some of them have no economically important. One of them is Glaciella aurantiaca. This is this orange fungus. You have to imagine this is the fungus of about this size, so this size. And finding it in the soil that has hundreds of square kilometers, it's not easy. But we managed to do it, we found it. From the scientific point of view, this collection is important. From the biotechnology point of view, not so much. The other group that we collected were glomus. These are arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi, so another group, but important as well, because these make the symbiosis with most of land plants. Actually, 80% of all higher plants have ectomycorrhiza with glomerulomycota, the group of this fungi, and these are the sporocarps of those. So collecting those and using the spores for dedicated mycorrhization would be a way to go. Okay, so if I just make a few of the concluding remarks about the mycorrhizal fungi in Sulawesi area, West Sulawesi, what I can say is that they are present, not very frequent comparing to, let's say, European or comparing to mesophilic or continental forests. But however, they are still very diverse. There are several taxa that do not fit to the known species and would need to have further taxonomic evaluation, which hopefully will be followed by some kind of marketing. Because the point is you need to pay your work, and in case of ectomycorrhizal fungi, the easiest way, of course, is to collect the fungi and sell them on the market. For the hypergeas fungi, concluding remarks are, yes, they are extremely rare in the study area. difficult to find. They are less diverse than EPGS, which kind of makes sense because it's the same, for example, in Europe. And they are, comparing to the EPGS ones, relatively easy to identify because there are so few of them. And among those that we found, none of them have a significant market value at the moment. However, as I was also visiting as a truffle specialist the area, the karst area, so the area with the limestone rock base, and the specific morphological structures present in the site, I was trying to see if they're trying to spot area that could be useful for cultivation of these especially edible hypogeous fungi, the true truffles. So the true truffles are those that are the mostly marketed fungi. And from my point of view, this is now my personal opinion, is that there are possibilities to grow truffles. There are. The soil is suitable in some areas. The vegetation is not suitable, so in this case you would need to bring in the plant partner as well. We did not find real truffles, true truffles, so we will also need to bring the truffles there. But I mean, after all, if you have the pine plantations for woods or acacia plantations for woods or a cabbage plantation for food, why not having a truffle plantation for truffles?
Excellent.
And the systems for truffle cultivation are known. They're quite well developed in Europe. There are a few centers that do this, even though most of these centers actually focus on the Mediterranean climate, because Mediterranean is the area with the highest diversity of true truffles, and also the culture, the knowledge originates from Mediterranean. And you will say, well, if it's Mediterranean, will it work in tropics or not? What I can say from experience of my friends and my research friends from Brazil, yes, they do.
Okay.
At least a few truffle species can grow in tropic ecosystems. We made the plantations in Brazil in tropics. We have got the production, so the things works. So why not bringing the same system also in Indonesia to, if nothing
Right.
else, to increase the value of some lands?
Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you
I
very
know
much.
I hope I was not too long, but
It's okay. Your timing is perfect. No problem.
thank you.
Yes. Even you're covering auto as well, so should be okay. So we got enlightenment about this fungi thing. I'm actually next to Professor Halima, next to me here. So I kind of like ask her, when you came here and visited the Hutan Pendidikan Unhas, yeah, believe or not, I just got back from there last night. So it was really great to have this facility of Hasanuddin University. And I believe you were here a couple of times last time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's Tina from Slovenia. Of course, we got all this information about fungi, jamur ya Bapak Ibu. Jadi ternyata jamur ini banyak sekali gunanya. There are a lot of function, a lot of utilization that we can use, not only for edible, but also for pollutions, etc. Yeah. Okay, the time is very limited, but I can accept one question, if any. Maybe if you don't have time, you can always ask Prof. Halima here, everything related to fungi in the KAS area. Okay, seems, you know, from the audience, we got a lot of range of audience, so, what's the name? Tina. Yeah, maybe you are saying about the hypungus. Has it been found any in the karst area in limestone? Is there any possibility of finding it?
Yes, so we found several hypogeous fungi,
Okay.
but they are not the true truffles. They do
Oh,
grow in the area, but the main reason, I guess, why we did not find the true truffles is the lack of the right tree partner. So they grow in symbiosis with trees. We try to focus on some,
okay.
but it could be that they don't form the symbiosis with the ectomycorrhizal plant that they grow there. Or you also need to know that these fungi grow in a specific time of the year. They produce fungi as a sporocarps, hypogeous fungi, for 2 to 3 weeks a year.
Ah, I
So you
see.
could just have arrived in the wrong time of the year.
Oh,
This is also an option.
that's
It's
why
the
I say
same in
to.
my case. I know my home ecosystem, and here in Europe, but sometimes I go to the field and I find nothing. Many times I go and find
Yes.
nothing, but sometimes I'm lucky.
So it's also
And
about the perfect timing, yeah? Like
yes,
that.
the perfect timing.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Tina. Give your hands for Tina Grebank from Forest Institute in Slovenia. We thank you very much on behalf of the committee for your time and sharing your research with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and
Bye-bye.
gentlemen, thank you. Bye-bye. You can still stay anyway if you want. Ladies and gentlemen, Bapak Ibu, we come to two more speakers whom with us in here. We have Professor Onishi and Bapak Dr. Zul with Ilham with them. Yeah. Okay, Professor Onishi, would you please go up on the stage? And I don't have your title, so if the committee have the title, as a moderator, I didn't get the. Okay, Professor Onishi is lecturer, I suppose, in Kyoto University. He will be talking more about the disaster, which is part of my TRG, my thematic research group. We can share a lot of experiences later about this. Can you show the PowerPoint of Professor Onishi, please? Yeah, I will be up there with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the fourth speaker, we have Professor Onishi with us. I believe that he will be. Chotomate. Okay. Professor Masamitsu Onishi from Kyoto University. Any of the slides can someone shows? Yeah. So you have 25 minutes. That should be enough with the speakers, and hopefully we can have a question and answer.
Okay.
Yes.
My talk 25 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we can have a question and answer after that.
Okay. So thank you very much.
Time is yours.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. My name is Masamitsu Onishi from Kyoto University. And actually, the Professor Saharama Hamza is the student in my laboratory when I was an assistant professor at that time. So the kind of a colleagues, you know, not a supervisor. Yeah, but they are very, very close friend. And first of all, I would like to convey the great appreciation for the warm hospitality here in Makassar. Actually, this is the second visit to University Hasanuddin. More than 10 years ago, and obviously the here Makassar is developed. You know, I saw the new port, you know, which is launched very recently, and now I really feel the kind of dynamics of the city of Makassar at the center of East Indonesian regions. And so my expertise is the infrastructure planning and disaster mitigation issues, particularly from the planning point of view. And today, thank you very much for showing my slide. My talk today is not so technical, rather a little bit philosophical. Yeah. And now, I'm also the civil engineer, but there are many opportunities to be involved in a real, actual social problem. And I gradually understand that only this, you know, technology is very important, but only the technology cannot solve the problem. So my question is how technology can contribute in the society. And that is, I would like to call the implementation. And so the next question is, what the science of implementation is like? So this is my talk today, but I prepared a slide for around 40 minutes, 50 minutes presentation, but I have already around 20 minutes to go, so that I have to skip a lot of slides. So please, next slide, next. And I want to share my experience of the involvement in the community in Kagoshima, where the very, very active volcano exists near the city. And like this, and every 2 or 3 days, still the eruption occurs, but small one. And please, next please. Yeah, and this is the location of Kagoshima. Next please. And this volcano had a very, very big eruption around 1914, so more than 100 years ago, like this. Please, next please. And at that time, you can see that a lot of dwellers are buried in the ash. Next please. Like this. You know the shrine gates in Japan, and this is totally buried like this. Next please. And this volcano will make a large eruption 100% in the near future, because the volcano has a periodic one. Magma is stored in the magma storage and erupt. So that's why we can say that 100% big eruption will occur in the near future. And next, please. And this is the Kagoshima city location, where the population is 600,000. So the big city, but compared to small in the Indonesian city. This city is located just 10 kilometers from the summit of this volcano. So you can understand how it's close. And next, please. Like this. Yeah. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah, I have to skip a lot. Yeah, and then we can guess that, in the modern, because 100 years ago, no car, no bus, but we have now. So we cannot imagine, completely what will happen if the big eruption occurs in this in the city. Next, please. And question is, how, as a scientist, we can contribute the mitigation of this disaster. And sometimes, because you regard me as a professor of Kyoto University, and the community people think that, in front of the resident people, what the professor on the Kyoto University give us some solution. Do I have a solution? No, right? But sometimes scientists want to respond to this kind of expectation and then say that, go this way. This is the solution. But in reality, it's impossible. And next, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. And this is the reality. When we stand, this, how we can mitigate the damage or impact of the disaster. There's no straight way, because only the single scientist cannot do anything. Finally, to mitigate the disaster impact, government people, local people, community, they have to solve the problem. not me. So what can I do, you know? And then, in this case, where to go? That is a reality, if I'm a professor of the Kyoto University. So how we can solve this problem? This is my question, and I would like to call it the problem of implementation. So next, please. And this is a little bit old paper titled "The Dilemmas in the General Theory of Planning," and then here there's a very big important keyword exists: wicked problem. Wicked problem is there's no definitive formulation, no stopping rule, and number 3 is, to me, it's most important things. The solution to wicked problems are not true or false, or good, but good or bad, okay? Not true or false. And yes, I have to skip this slide. Next, please. And yeah, number 9 is also very important. The choice of explanation determines the nature of problem resolution. Okay? Explanation determines. But the point is, we have several ways to explain what now happening. So this is important. This is not a matter that single scientists determine. Go ahead, please. So I would like to share the very important keywords called implementation gap. Implementation gaps are the difference between expectations, what would or should happen, and what actually happened. Very simple, but it's a big problem. For example, you innovated some new system and they want to try to implement in some community. But in an electric car, talk, there is some discussion that, electric vehicle, it's expensive, particularly in a developing country, it's not implemented. So we have something, but not implemented. So that is very common problem around the world. And the next one is different people have the different expectations and different views of what happened. This is the reality. No single scientist can say this is the truth, right? And they are persistent, and the common feature of the implementation situations and offer a window of understanding. So that is the starting point of my discussion. Go ahead, please. Next slide, please. This is one episode in Japan. Sometimes in the context of a disaster risk reduction, we use the word Jijo Kyojo Kojo in Japan, which means the self-help, mutual help, and government help. That 3 factor is important to reduce the risk, disaster risk reduction. Okay, and next, please. And this is a little bit old story, but some of you may know that this is the ex-prime minister, Yoshihide Suga in Japan, and he used this word, self-help, mutual help, government help. And his political, in some campaign for LDP leader elections. And it was very, very criticized. Why? Because this was understood by citizens that he would push more responsibility to individual. This 3 helps concept is important, but if politician or the government use this word, he want to push responsibility to the citizens, mutual and self. So next, please. So we can see a lot of situation everywhere. It is, I would like to call this a responsibility failure. Government usually say that self and mutual help is important, whereas the local people say that residents say government help is important. Where is the border between the government help and the self and mutual help? How they can confirm this is my responsibility, this is your responsibility. If there's no confirmation, no solution, right? So this is I would like to say here. This is matter of the implementation gap issues. So next, please. Maybe some of you know that this drawings, picture, it is called a Rubin's base. And if you focus on the white part, it looks like the base. But at the same time, if you focus on the black part, this is a picture that the two faces, face each other. And if we argue that which is correct, which is right, this is no meaning. What we can say is this picture can be interpreted two, or could be three, but anyway, two now. So, to admit, we can have a several interpretation for this figure. That is quite important. Otherwise, argument is meaningless. So go ahead, please. And sometimes the scientists use the modeling, mathematical modelings. This is very important to understand, some mechanism. But when you develop or use, there's some formulate something, you have to assume something, right? So given something, assume something, This is called a systematic view, We need assumption, otherwise we no discussion. But that kind of, attitude to make a systematic view is kind of, we are cutting the reality because there are other many issues which is neglected, So this is very important, as I mentioned, interpretation is not single. There are many possibilities to interrupt reality. Go ahead, please. So, yes, this is back to the story of the Kagoshima. So this is the story of massive fall of ash and pumice. So nobody has experience, no clear image what happened, So in this case, if, emergency alert, are issued, but there's no motivation for resident to behave. Okay, next please. And then what I did, standing at a little bit, in front of a white ambiguous crowd, I declared, because I had a communication with the local people, and then I declared a long-term commitment, okay? I mentioned that your life will be in danger in the worst case if that kind of eruption occurs, And only your action will save your life. And, but even if they were to evacuate, problems such as finding shelter, transportation would not be solved immediately. It takes time anyway. So that's why I declared, I will work together, okay? And to consider necessary preparation over the long term. That kind of declaration is important. I admit there's no immediate solution for that. Let's think together. I will not provide a solution. That's why I say, let's think about it together with the local people. And next, please. And then I had a 10 workshop over the 3 years. Next, please. Next, please. And I had a workshop like this. And at the beginning, of course, there's no, experience, and they cannot understand what will happen when the large eruption occurs. And they discussed, imagine what will happen and what is the most important things. This is a very, very orthodox way to do. And then, next, please. This is the keyword frequently used in the dialogue. Evacuation. Very simple. Evacuation is important, but point is that I didn't suggest. Their intention focused on evacuation. Because that's why evacuation is a focused problem, discussed in the community, not me. Okay, and then, next please. We went to the evacuation shelter, which is planned in, disaster management plan in Kagoshima, the city. And then, next please. And they immediately understand that obviously accommodating capacity for the shelter is insufficient. It's a very simple story because but anyway, next please. And what happened? Before visiting this, the designated, evacuation shelter, their intention is, okay, we have to evacuate, particularly in a large eruption, the alert will be issued before the eruption occurs, because we can observe the expansion of the mountain body. So most of people say that, we will evacuate in advance. But after observing this, designated evacuation shelter, most of the people say that, I cannot stay here. We have to stay at home, given that the current shelter, the capacity is insufficient, right? And then they finally discovered the, significant shortage of shelter capacity by themselves. This is important. We suggested, please discuss. And then, evacuation is important. Okay, you find evacuation is important. Let's go to shelter, I suggested. And then they find the problem of insufficient capacity of shelter by themselves, not me. I learned by this visit. So there's some sway over decision making, back and forth. So this is very, very important. This sway over, decision making is important to find the new problems. Next, please. So, what is my role as a scientist who are interested in implementation issues? So, the local people, first, they are at this point. They do not understand what is the problem or what is the view of this problem. But external third-party person, as from the university, can help to shift the aspect of the problem. Up to here, I call it, this is the eyes opener, because I helped the resident to view something new or acquire some new aspect. And then they find something different view. So they find new question by themselves. Next, please. And other than this, visit the shelter, because there is a big, observatory of Kyoto University. Kyoto University observing this volcano, and they visited this observatory and the kind of field trip, which is a kind of a heritage, disaster heritage. And next, please. Next, and next, please. This is also the kind. And then, finally, the resident made this kind of brochure, not the government, not the university. Resident made this kind of brochure by themselves, what they learned and what they would like to share this problem to other communities. So, next please. Like this, next please. Yes, so there are voice of the local people, which is totally different of the brochure made by the government. Local government say this kind of situation, hazard exists. So be ready for disaster. But this brochure includes the voice of local people. What is the problem? What will happen for them? This is different. And then this brochure have a big impact to the other communities, because that they can understand what will happen by the voice of local people rather than scientists or local municipalities. I have to stop maybe. And I have maybe a few minutes.
I don't
so
want
that,
to
yes.
remind you.
So next, please.
Next.
Yeah. So, next, please. So, the three key essence through my implementation gap experience. What is important is experience-based learning. This is important. Just not only the words. Massive fall of pumice or ash fall. What will happen? They have to learn, in many ways, experience. And then persistent, I do not have not so much time, but, this stressor is like, visiting the shelter is one of this stressor, Oh, just evacuate. And then go to the evacuation shelter. Oh, I cannot evacuate. It's a stress. Pushing the stress to them. And then make a new, questions. And course shaping. Not only me. Still many slides. And go ahead, please. Next, please.
Next.
Yeah, but not so much. And then science, filling the implementation gap. I already explained. Please, next, please. And one of the keywords I think it's a narrative is important. In the first slide presentation, the first presenter Pablo used the keyword narrative. I think the narrative is very important because it is a very important methodology to explain the kind of dynamics rather than static. Mathematical model is usually static. But important thing is this dynamic. Yes, next please. And next please. That is also very important. And the language also important. Simply, if you word apple, but you know the word, if you know the apple, but if you have never eat and touch the apple, you do not understand what the apple means, right? So the words should correspond to the real experience, right? So importance of language and experience. That is quite important. Next, please. And the theme of this conference is artificial intelligence and digital technology, right? So I think it's now say that kind of academic knowledge is important. But at the same time, the real experience, particularly for the local residents, real experience is very important to understand this, academic knowledge. But now we have a lot of technology now. Digital technology is, simulated experience. This is very important, like a 3D virtual, And we cannot experience, but we can virtually have experience this kind of issues. I think it's the digital technology for disaster mitigation, particularly supporting this, the local activity is very, very important in the future. Next, please. Yes. And yeah, what I want to say is that still, academic activity like developing a model, this is important. This analytical activity is important. But sometimes, as a scientist, we have to relax, and then we have to admit, for this current problem, we have to admit that there are many, many views. Just sit together, relax, and then let's find a new problem together with local people, right? So that kind of back and forth is very, very important. Next, please. Yeah, like this. This is one activity that is so we call that. And then gotong royong?
Yeah, that's a correct word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like this. Okay. Next, please. And this is the almost conclusion. What is the science? And then this is a very famous the theoretical physicist, Feynman. The essence of the science method is take care not to fool yourself. Okay?
Yeah.
We have to admit there are many, many views,
Yes.
So if we stick to the single views, we could be a fool.
Right.
And next, please. And as Professor Sarama Hamza said that we had the two alumni from Kyoto University got the Nobel Prize, and then he is currently the board of member of the Kyoto University, Susumu Kitagawa, the
Chemist.
and then I know him, yeah. And Kitagawa sensei, very, very nice, senior good person. And then what he mentioned is muyo no yo, the usefulness of useless, right? What is deemed useless may be proved to be great use. So don't stick to the one single view. Particularly Kyoto University, like, finding a new aspect, which is not common now. Let's share this, the word muyo no yo. So this is my spirit. Maybe this is, I think it's right, that's right. Next, please.
Yes.
My key takeaways, yeah, but okay, but for the interest of time, I will skip this. So I think it's a last slide is, please, next. Terimakashi.
Terima kasih. Domo arigatou gozaimashita, sensei. Masamitsu Onishi sensei. Yeah, everyone, to be honest, this is really related much on my center. I'm the head of the Disaster Studies Center, and this is very much what we're doing. Onishi sensei, really, to be honest, we have to have a long discussion about how to involve the community in order for the disaster prevention studies. But I still would like also the audience, if anyone would like to comment or anything. Only one, I'm sorry that the timing is not enough. We still have one speaker, and we have to finish before 12:30 because it's lunchtime. So I receive only one, but maybe quick answer questions, yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Lia Lairing from Graduate School of University of Hasanuddin. Thank you so much for your presentation. It sparks my interest very much, especially on your mention about the weak problem. Yeah, I know there is no definitive solution or maybe definition about that, but I once heard about, someone said about the wicked problem is actually kind of organized irresponsibilities. Yeah, so it's, and of course there is no, when no one feels fully accountable to the problem, that's why we call like, because as you mentioned, like scientists might say this or governments say that, but communities say that's supposed to be responsible of this person. So that's why I would say it's also part of organized irresponsibility. Based on your experiences doing this, my question is about how would you suggest, or based on your experience, how do we foster the shared accountability and collective responsibility in dealing with this kind of complex situation? Thank you very much.
I believe you get the, just ask this. Just one quick one.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you for the interesting presentation. My name is Vita from Universitas Terbuka Jakarta. So my hometown is in Magelang. It is a volcanic area. So we live with one of the most active volcanoes in the world, Mount Merapi. And we have some like community-based program. One of them is Sister Village program, in which a safer village help the one in the danger zone during evacuation program. For example, a villager in the village A knows where to go, to which village during eruption. So my question is there any similar community-based program in Kagoshima or anywhere volcanic area in Japan to help people live safely with volcano? Thank you so much.
Wow. If I accept more questions, there'll be a lot more questions.
Okay, let's go for the first question.
Yeah.
No, second question.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's now the kind of activity involving the local people started. Not only Kagoshima, but also Mount Fuji also. But still we're exploring how we proceed. The way of this kind of design of the collaboration process itself very, very important. What is I call the implementation side. But my answer is yes, and then now going on.
That's right.
And then for the first question, it's very difficult. But yeah, of course the government itself is very, very important.
Okay.
And accountability, right? Accountability. And then, so sometimes the government would like to say that this is good. And then they would like to justify their plan or policy.
Yeah.
But they have to sometimes admit, oh, this is still insufficient.
Okay.
Yeah, so accountability means that not explain completely, 100%.
Yeah.
But sometimes they have to permit what is still lacked or insufficient.
Right.
So this kind of, reliable communication, they also admit this is still insufficient. This is, I think, is quite important.
Right.
Yeah. So this is communication matters.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is why we have a National Agency for Disaster Prevention. They have this program called Destana. Mungkin Bapak Ibu ever heard? It's a village, how they create, the communication with the government by themselves. So the people must be still approached with the focal group discussion in order they can realize what kind of communication they can have with the government. Sensei, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You would like to add
I
more?
talk too
little
much.
bit? Yes, no, it's okay. Ja, domo arigato gozaimashita. I'm sorry about the timing. Yeah, if you need any questions or anything, you can always directly talk to Professor Masamitsu Onishi. Again, thank you very much for your time. Right, give a claps for Professor Onishi. Thank you. Next, our last speaker. Would you like please to go up? Yes, please, Dr. Professor Madhya TS. This is probably the engineering degree. Dr. Zul Ilham bin Zulkifli is a biomass and bioenergy expert from Malaysia, currently director of Center of Science and Environment Studies, a Fulbright Scholarship, certified energy manager. His research supports on carbon neutrality through sustainable biomass conversion, with activity promoting energy literacy. Dr. Zul will talk about the maximizing Southeast Asia's renewable energy potential with artificial intelligence and digital innovation. Wow, such a title. We are looking forward for your presentation. 20 to 25 minutes, I hope you can manage. Thank you. Time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Everybody can hear me well?
Probably you have to use this microphone.
I have to use this one,
Okay. Can you talk?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
You are loud and clear.
Thank you very much, Pak Dr. Ilham, for that introduction.
Sure.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to everyone here in Universitas Hasanuddin. It is an honor for me to accept the invitation by Universitas Hasanuddin, Prof. Suharman, who was also part of the Kyoto connection. But we are not from the same lab, but we are rival because we play sports when we were in Kyoto. So we play soccer, badminton, and ping pong. You know, Malaysian, Indonesian, we fight, right? But during Ramadan, we will always get together and cook together and, have berbuka together. So my thank you to my good friend for the invitation. Thank you. I'm Zul Ilham, an associate professor from University Malaya, Malaysia. But currently just started my 2-year secondment in the government think tank agency as a director for Center for Science and Environmental Studies. And today I would like to share with all of you a talk with the title of Maximizing Southeast Asia's Renewable Energy Potential with Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovations. Next, we can start now. All of us are currently, I think, why this is important because all of us are currently living in what the Westerners call as the age of Anthropocene. The age of Anthropocene is the age which they said and defined that humans are altering a lot of parameters in the world, and we are currently living in a changing environment, right? I heard that yesterday Makassar is having a very strong wind and rain. I think the day before I arrived, right? Similarly, like in Malaysia, although we always have monsoon, but nowadays, as I've talked to Prof. Onishi, the climate is changing and it's hard to expect anymore. One day you can have like flash floods, and soon after flash flood, we can have a nice sunny day, right? So this is all driven by our own way of living and driven by massive consumption of energy that we are currently using all over the world. In Islam, if you see it, it is more towards the concept of Khalifah. We are the custodian of the earth, right? So I think, but the Western call it as Anthropocene, the age of humans. But for us, I think Muslims, we look it at a different perspective where we have to be the custodian of the earth. And in the next slide, if you see, with the increase in population after the Industrial Revolution, so as more population increase, more people moving into the city, we use more energy, we use more water, and then we have to clear a lot of land in order to grow food for us, right? So it is also reflected in the parameters on the right side, the Earth system trends, where you can see carbon dioxide are also increasing, so do methane, nitrous oxide, which indicates the pollution all over the Earth, right? So with increase in population, increase in human activity, it impacted our environment a lot, as you can see in this slide. So in the next one, you can see, in Southeast Asia, we are 10 diverse nation, powerhouse. Now +1, right? Recently, 10 +1 Asian countries, right? With economic growth and dynamic, which has a future potential. But this also showed, with increase in population, we will also need a lot of energy in the future. So the next one, if you can see, the Southeast Asia future demand and current energy mix. By 2050, if you see, we need triple amount of electricity. And I think our previous speaker also said about we are currently using EV, electric vehicle, electric bike, right? All of us are now using smartphones which needs to be charged every day, right? Laptops, iPads, and stuff. But then, if you see on the right, our current energy mix are still strongly depends on burning coal, arang batu, dan juga natural gas, as well as oil, as primary resources. We need more renewable share. Our aim is high. We would like to be carbon neutral by 2030. If not 2030, then 2050. 2030 is just less than 5 years from now, right? Our aims are high, but our share of renewables doesn't reflect our target. We like to target carbon zero, but then we still keeps on burning coal and gas. So in the next slide, you will see the interesting point and the good news for us is that Southeast Asia have a lot of potential. My field is energy and environment, which is more towards biomass energy. So we have a lot of agro residues, agricultural residues in our region. We have palm oil mill effluent, POME, and also municipal solid waste. Apart from that, we are in the tropical belt, easily to install solar. Hydropower is pretty much established all around our region. Geothermal, Indonesia actually has a very high potential in geothermal. Wind, especially on the offshore side, and also tidal energy, which is still not very much being harvested. But then we have varies in energy. And the issue in this is energy security, because everybody, all the countries in Southeast Asia would like to secure their energy, so it's not towards sharing, but more towards what I can save for my own country, right? Because energy security. And the next one is energy equity. How to make the energy more accessible. Like I think we talked just now, we have EV, but nowhere to charge. So we need the energy to be accessible. And secondly, with relation to Prof. Onishi said, it must be affordable and acceptable by the community. Because if the community doesn't accept our introduction to renewable energy or to use more clean energy, then even if the government is strongly persuading towards it, if it's not affordable, acceptable and accessible, 3 A's, then it's gonna be an issue, right? This brings us to the next one, where AI can help us from just seeing potential into reality, right? Because I believe that artificial intelligence and digital innovation can be a tools that provide system in order to organize this complex system. So in the next one, you can see what could AI actually do. So first, it could create a smarter predictive grid, because if we have renewables, all this advanced energy, hydrogen energy, but then still using a traditional grid, it won't fit, it won't work, right? We need to have a smart grid in order to cater for our smart energy model. And again, we also can use AI for predictive forecasting, because we must predict how much solar can we have, how much wind can we have, how much wind can be generated tomorrow or even today, right? So we need AI and digital innovation as tools in order to integrate all these variables. And the challenges, the next challenges is this energy is located in different places all over the region. Next one, secondly, AI could also help optimize the physical asset themselves, squeezing more energy to optimize it, more energy out of every resources. Predictive maintenance, it could help monitor solar panels and wind turbine, biomass and waste optimization. In order, we have a lot of waste, a lot of agricultural waste, but it is located everywhere, and it is hard to centralize it in order to have a bioenergy plant for maximum fuel output. If we build one power plant, there will not be enough biomass. Although the numbers say otherwise. The numbers said we have the waste, we have the agricultural waste, but it could not fit because it is everywhere. So we need AI to help locate it, inform, so that manage the logistic better. And resource discovery, AI could also utilizes satellite and geological data in order to provide most effective new locations for new renewable energy harvesting. The next one, if we look in the waste to energy sector, this is my own picture from Ningbo City, a waste to energy power plant in China. If you see, Southeast Asia have a lot of agricultural residues and urban waste. But then, logistic is nightmare. As I've told you, it is everywhere. It could be here and there. So perhaps we could utilize, you guys, the postgraduate students should utilize and invent, I think, optimization using AI and digital innovation for waste collection routes, so that it will be proper and then measure the needs of our city. The next one is about landless biodiesel feedstock. In the future, people don't want to grow energy on land anymore because we need to grow food on land, right? People would like to go more organic, no pesticide. So it will need a lot of land area. So the idea, this is part of my own research, which to grow landless biodiesel feedstock. So we can grow it vertically, we can grow it inside, indoor, and ferment it in order to use biodiesel. But again, biomass is good. People say biomass, there are a lot of biomass in Malaysia, Indonesia, but again, there is no good supply chain. So the biomass, some biomass could not be delivered to where it's supposed to be. So we need AI and digital innovation to help us more in this. Next, people are looking into green hydrogen. In Malaysia, we have hydrogen fueling station in Putrajaya. Sarawak is really investing into hydrogen. We have hydrogen car from Japan, Toyota Mirai. Not yet, but then we need AI and digital innovation to provide seismic data, because we couldn't have hydrogen without proper security and balancing the grid. And the next one, if you see, one of the project that I am also doing, that's my student there, we try to extract color pigment from dragon fruits, algae and banana peel to make a passive solar energy generation window, so that if we have windows on the building, it could passively generate electricity. But it's still in a lab scale. We have produced certain watts, but we couldn't achieve it yet. We hope that we could do better in biomass dye synthesized solar cell. I think Indonesia has a lot of pigments too, from all of your variety of species. I think you could do these too. Those with bright colors, extract the pigments and utilize it as a solar cells. The next one, if you see renewable energy status, as I've told again and again, we have a lot of potential, but then again, we don't live up to our potential. It's very hard. We didn't really utilize it to provide electricity to our community. Next one, the challenges could be, of course, in Malaysia, Indonesia, Southeast Asia region, we still have inconsistency in political will, approval delays, and fossil fuel subsidies. In addition to this, the challenges are we have significant skill gaps, digital literacy. So we need new workforce, you guys, the young ones, to be the new workforce in digital energy. So next one, we have Asian plan for energy cooperation until this year. We just had the Asian summit in Malaysia last week. But I hope it will launch a new one, but they didn't launch it yet. So it is still being finalized for our new target for renewable energy and energy efficiency. And the next one is RE power generation cost. As you know, cost still is an issue. Investment costs vary according to locations. Solar is economical. Even solar panels are being produced more than its demand in China nowadays. It's so cheap. They produce it a lot, solar panels nowadays, but didn't meet the demand. And geothermal requires more upfront capital, and hopefully government incentive can help. So next one, if you see the technological, like what Prof. Onishi said, you don't want scientists to say this is the way, this is what you should do, right? But the idea is that the answer for the future is not just to focus only just biomass, because I'm a biomass scientist. Just solar, because I'm a solar engineer. It must be integrated system, and AI, I believe, can be the glue to help us to be integrated. Perhaps it could be solar plus storage. Solar without batteries means nothing. Energy will be wasted. Bioenergy must be coupled with waste management so that there is a circular circle. Marine energy must be integrated into smart grid. If not, then the energy could not be accessible. So I believe that regional collaboration is the key. Again, next, in the 3 A's, we have accessibility, affordability, and acceptability. So this is related to the another 2 A's, acceptability and affordability. Without the support by the community, then even though we try to promote renewable energy, then it could not be implemented, right? Rural electrification, biogas for cooking, it must involve the community, and it is vital. It builds the local capacity. So as a key takeaways from my talk today, my first time in Makassar, first time in Sulawesi. So the first one, Southeast Asia has many renewable resources. Of course, Indonesia has a lot of potential. I see it everywhere. Policy support, we need strong policies to support this growth. Community involvement, of course, we need community to be part of it and be informed on resources that we would like to use. Regional collaboration, Asian cooperation is beneficial. And the last one, we must adopt AI and digital innovation. It is no longer optional. It is the key accelerator, and as I've said, is a glue to stick the integrated system. With that, Terima kasih. Thank you. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Zul
you.
Ilham, for making it a bit shorter than what I expected. It's 20 minutes. But again, ladies and gentlemen, this renewable energy is one topic that can be everywhere, can be touching any parts of our life that we need to have. So I would like still to ask any comment or any questions from the audience, just to be fair, one or two before we get into our lunch break, because both of our speakers are already, and maybe I would like to ask Professor Onishi later after the session of Dr. Sulham. Any questions, anything? It seems like everybody is hungry. Yeah, okay, one final question from, can you come up forward here, please? Oh yes, there is a mic. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, be patient for a little bit. Just one question and answer from the audience.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, Zul. My name is Alif Mamzaki. I am from the Faculty of Law of Hasanuddin University.
Okay.
Now, your elaboration about the cooperation between Asian countries on the development of renewable energy is very interesting, and it is indeed something that we must explore, especially in case of Indonesia and Malaysia. Yeah. There's a potential for collaboration in energy development, renewable energy development in Kalimantan, as we know that the two countries shared borders there, and especially with Indonesia now building its new capital in Kalimantan.
Okay.
And also, so my question is like, what do you think like is the challenges in the how like Indonesia and Malaysia, which is currently in developing their energy in the island in the Kalimantan, doing it separately? How like what measures can it take to collaborate to synchronize their energy development so that they can improve together the development of renewable energy in the Borneo Island, in the Kalimantan? And what do you think is the greatest challenge that faced in both countries, especially in the side of Sabah and Sarawak, in developing the renewable energy that can benefit all countries in the island? Thank you.
Both of them. Very clear question, Dr. Zul.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you, Pak Ilham.
Yes.
Thank you, Mas Alif,
Alif, yes.
for the question. It is a really interesting question and outlook, given that Kalimantan has a lot of future potential as Indonesia is moving its capital to Kalimantan. In my recent visit, interestingly, this year I've been visiting all three except Kalimantan. I've been to Sabah, Brunei and Sarawak. And interestingly, there's not much improvement in order to work together towards providing energy and build that region. But Brunei is already looking into it, given that they have a lot of capital. They have a lot of capital, but they don't have manpower and technology. But money can buy it. So they have already, I think surprisingly, during my recent visit in Brunei, I see a few of investors are already looking and visiting Kalimantan, the Ibu Kota Negara IKN, a few times in order to check for its potential. And they are surprised that I've never visited it yet. So the way I see it, the greatest challenge, as I've told you just now, is each country in Asia would like to protect its energy security. So rather than collaborating, we would like to do it on our own, so that perhaps it will secure us more. While the world is already opening up, we should see that Asian is going to be something like the European community.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we already started by not having to impose visa to all our members, so that the mobility is there.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But we have to throw away these presumptions that somebody is going to take over one another. But work together in order to make this region prosperous.
Yes.
Like how the European nations are doing. they are collaborating each other. If Spain doesn't have energy, France can immediately supply from their power plant.
True.
Because their grid is shared. They have shared grid, so that power is not an issue in Europe. Let's say if there is some threat or something. But in our view of energy security, Pak Ilham, it's a different thing. We are on our own. Oh, jangan. Nanti Indonesia ambil ni nanti. Sepatutnya kita terbuka, kita hasilkan lebih. Malaysia should produce more energy so that Indonesia can tap into it. And if Indonesia produce more, we can tap into it if we need it. So it must be, we must go more towards sharing and kurangkan sanksi. Energy security not in view of regional perspective, rather than you are on your own, bye-bye, right? So that is my answer, Mas Alif. The challenge is that for us to overcome this huge hurdle of looking at energy security in a very rigid perspective.
That's right.
That's the way I see it, if I have answered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a challenge, Alif. And that concludes the question and answer of your session, Dr. Zul Ilham, because we really get into our break time. But of course, before you go, we again would like to thank you for your sharing with us. It is true, renewable energy is not border. It should be togetherness in there. Thank you very much, Dr. Zul. Raise your hand for Dr. Zul. And that would conclude our plenary session for all the invited speakers. Just a little wrap up. From the beginning, we talk about AI with the policy of batteries. And then we talk about fungi, which is very micro in terms of topics. But then remember, fungi can influence how it's being utilized in our societies. And then we have disaster prevention topic about how we can approach a community, contain with the government and science. And finally, we have Dr. Zul with the broad review of Southeast Asia, looking at how the renewable energy can be provided within our region. And that's probably the small summary of everything, because this international conference is about environment as sustainable development. The topic is so big in terms of range, so we cannot cover everything, but at least you have very good 5 invited speakers for our plenary session. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity, me as the moderator. Burung elang, burung cendrawasih. Sekian dan terima kasih. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I give it back to the MC.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ilham Ahlimuddin, PhD, for leading the discussion for the invited speaker session, and also a wonderful pantun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we are going to lunch break session, we will present a certificate and token of appreciation to our invited speaker that is present with us today. We invite again our speaker, Professor Anishi, and also Professor Zul Ilham to come up to the stage. And we invite the Secretary of Research and Community Service Institution of Hasanuddin University to hand the certificate and token of appreciation to our invited speaker. The first token of appreciation goes to Professor Onishi from Kyoto University. And second one goes to Professor Zul Ilham from University of Malaya. We are also giving some gifts and products from Hasanuddin University to our invited speaker. Thank you very much. You may return back to your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the invited speaker session for this morning until afternoon. And we would like to express our sincere appreciation and gratitude to all speakers and participants for your valuable contribution. Thank you for staying with us, and now we will have a lunch break until 2 p.m. Please enjoy your meal and take this time to network and visit the thematic research group expo located outside this ballroom and inside. The conference presentation session will resume at 2 p.m. at the Research and Community Service Institution building located near this hotel. Again, thank you very much for your kind attention and good afternoon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.